Lawrence City Council Parks Committee. We're here mainly to discuss, gather information about the recent leasing of the Sterrett Center to Heartland Film Festival. And I see we have some members of the Parks committee here. I'm sorry? Is that Maria on my iPhone?
No, behind you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know. Maria, are you with us?
Yes, it's me.
Okay. And
You do have
it looks like we have Chris Wheeler, our attorney. Are you with us, Chris?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. So anyhow, we have a very short window of time. We have one of the counselors has a family engagement in about 30 minutes, so I am not real clear exactly what this Heartland Film Festival is. So could someone, Corey, or somebody give us just a brief overview of what they're about and what they're going to do and with the building and what have you?
Yes, thank you. Heartland Film is a 501c3, and they run some major film festivals. They run an Indie Shorts Film Festival in July, and that, with that, they are able to select they are able to submit films to the Academy Awards in all 3 categories that the Academy offers. They're one of 17 in the United States and one of 34 in the world who are able to submit to all 3 categories of the shorts. They also, in October, starting on October 6th this year, they will run about a 10-day film festival that features full-length films, and they also are able, sometimes will have submissions, those kinds of things. They're internationally known, and they really do additional things besides that. For example, they will be bringing programming to the city of Lawrence. So you will see that for 4 days during Winterfest, they will be offering Merry Movies over at the theater at the Fort, and that's one of the first things they'll be doing on Thursday. I think it's like the 15th or right around there. They have one showing, and then on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they have 2 different movies they'll be showing each of those days. They also will be partnering with the MSD of Lawrence Township and offering some different programming for our students there. And when you think there are 16,000 students in Lawrence Township, so say half those schools are here in Lawrence, about 8,000 of our kids will have access to some additional programming. They have actually already reached out to Dr. Smith and met with their team there. They will continue to look at ways to expand and bring more movies too, with the goal of actually having Lawrence be one of their locations. They currently have 6 locations when they do their film festival. So they are looking at how they can bring that to Lawrence and manage those logistics. So with Heartland Film, they also do special screenings of full feature movies. For example, the movie Diana, when that, Diana Spencer, whatever, when that came out, Spencer, they actually had the showing here in Indy for that. And so they took that to another location where they will be bringing that to Lawrence and bringing people to our community. So I feel they're a huge asset to what they do. They round out the cultural campus by being at the Sterrett Center, that campus becomes our arts hub. Having that, I know there has been some question about what happens with the people who wanted to rent the Sterrett Center. I have the pleasure now of having my office right with the Parks Department, and it has been wonderful to talk to people coming in to rent Gen Park, and many people who say, let me see it. They didn't even realize that facility was back there and how wonderful it is. And so it's been very, we really believe that by increasing the revenue we're generating off the Sterrett Center with this lease, in addition to the improvements that we're doing there, the programming that they are going to be bringing to the city of Lawrence, attracting visitors here to be able to, continue to grow and expand and impact economic development, as well as just, rounding out that campus to really be that art center, I think it's going to be great for Lawrence.
Okay, any of our, yes, Lauren?
Chair, I have a question. Okay, is this the same festival that was hosted at Daniel's Vineyard a couple years ago?
They have a kickoff to their film festival there, and so they had that again this year, but they show their movies at theaters.
Got it. The reason why I'm asking is I know that there were some bigger name celebrities that were coming in, like Sterling K. Brown from This Is Us was at the Heartland Festival, so I didn't know if that was affiliated with the same. So
It is.
we'll be bringing in some big name people to the city of Lawrence, is that?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. And so, and they will be bringing them to this being their quote-unquote headquarters.
Got it. My other question is this. Is there a price difference with renting the Starrett Center and Gem Park?
No, it's the same.
It's the same. Okay, that was going to be my question, just, if there was, you get it. So that's good to know.
Yes. Any other questions?
Real quick on that also, and I'll have Eric talk about rental prices.
Yes.
Mike, yeah.
I got a big mouth, they may not be able to hear that. Feature voice. We're forgetting, we still have community park. Community center just underwent how big of a renovation, Eric? That renovation, of course, that one comes without the caveat of having to use one of our 5-6 caterers we have available. And the rental price for community is what compared to Gen Park?
It's about 150 less. So I think we're meeting two.
And you're saying that the Gen Park and the Starrett Center is the same price now?
Yes.
Okay.
And it has been, Rick, for 4 or 5 years.
What else?
Yeah.
Yes.
650 for residents, 850 for non-residents.
And the capacity is the same, 150 at each.
Maria, do you have any questions back there?
I do not, thank you.
Okay, and Sean?
I think both of you kind of asked my questions and you addressed what I was thinking. I think one piece, just to put on the record, and I think, Ms. Wheeler, you addressed it in your memo, was just a question of the legality to make sure that the amount of money that's being put into the center by Heartland didn't require an RFP or something like that. And I believe Ms. Wheeler addressed that in a memo that she sent out to the council. Could you reiterate that, Chris, a little bit, just so it's in the record here?
Sure.
About the,
Is that okay, Rick?
I'm sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I addressed two things in my memo for those that haven't seen it. It was a memo to the council. It looked at two aspects. One was whether council approval was required for the lease, and the quick answer is that it is not, because this is a 501c3 Indiana nonprofit and has been since 1991 when it was established. And two was whether normally when you're doing a public works project and doing repairs and improvements to a public building, those are publicly bid. But because my understanding is that those improvements that are being done by the Heartland Film Festival folks, that is not spending public dollars or tax dollars. Therefore, that statute would not apply either.
Thank you. And then I think the other thought I had was what exactly you addressed, which was folks that are wanting to have weddings or receptions or nice events, graduation parties. Gen Park is an amazing facility, and the fact that you're uncovering that gem for the rest of the community
Well, I mean,
is a great
A
asset.
step further is sometimes I felt even Starrett Center's nice, Gen Park's nice, but where a community park is in particular, I think the community center, particularly the high-end upgrades that have been made there, and being cheaper, and its location. And personally, if I were holding an event, there are more amenities there. If you were holding an activity, be it a family reunion, a graduation party, there was a wedding there over the weekend on the outside shelter. So I think community park provides more amenities, but not to get off that beaten path. Just that not only what Heartland's putting into the Starrett Center, but that's in conjunction with the HVAC, the roof work that the the city has put into that facility. And I'm gonna be honest, there's no way we could put, and that's not a reflection on the council or administration, they're dumping close to $200,000 into a building that was constructed in 1930, and the roof was original that we just replaced. They're putting that type of money in improvements to, and as an office structure, and Corey, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's going to be, as an office complex, it's going to be cubicle-like in their approach. So their improvements are amenities to the restrooms. If you've been in there, it could take a little love. The painting and the interior that needs to occur and the like. That's a secondary reason why I think it's a win-win for the city, is that we operate on a shoestring budget. We all know that. And we're making improvements and upgrades to a facility that is not being sold, but is being leased. And definitely, Rick, you and I have lived out here our whole lives. And, going to be 60 years for me, no one ever thought that we'd have an Art for Lawrence, a cultural campus, and a world-renowned film festival headquartered. I mean, they left Mass Ave to come out here, all located in the big city of Lawrence.
It's going to be not just cultural campus in name.
Right,
But there are things to do that are cultural now. I mean, between those three.
And what we have is 1A and 1B shortly when the Civic Plaza is done. And I keep going back to this. We're not ignoring parts of Lawrence. This is in the middle of the middle of the middle of the middle of Lawrence. And the location of these facilities will allow, especially with the advent of the Purple Line and the like, drive people south of Pentland Pike, where I grew up over in Harrison Park. It's not off the beaten path anymore. And offering opportunities. I know a lot of kids where I grew up, and kids I taught at Lawrence North for 30 years may not have a chance to be exposed to activities and opportunities like this.
One thing I just wanted to add to that, when Jeff mentioned the amount, they're actually putting $325,000 into it. It's just over $200,000 alone in the restrooms, because they are pretty much being gutted because they really, really needed it. And so they really are investing in it. And also with this, we really believe not only the additional $20,000 we're going to get on additional revenue out of that building in rent for these 5 years, and then after that, if they renew, we'll get utilities as well. But we also believe that since we're only using it at our peak time, 50 rentals a year, and also Gen Park was only being used a third of the time, when we combine those into that one facility, that's also going to bump up the Gen Park revenue. So we are going to be focusing, on that revenue collection so that we can continue to invest in our parks with other amenities.
I had a few questions, if I may. Lauren, did you have one?
You go first, you're good.
It was said that they're going to put $200-ish thousand they're going to invest in that building. I'm just curious, correct me if I'm wrong, but did the council not give the money to the Parks Department to put on a new roof and put on new air conditioning, new kitchen equipment, and new flooring?
Yes, the council did we spent $167 on the roof, about $45,000 on the interior. The mechanical was about $41,000. So, yeah, we did. It needed that regardless if we have new renters or not. So it was a long time coming. As you know, you worked on some of those units years ago. That 25 years is a long time for a unit to.
Yeah, I agree. I worked on a lot of buildings, in my trade, and, dealt with a lot of people that lease, buildings. And I know that the majority of the people that I've worked for that have leased buildings are generally responsible for the maintenance and upkeep of the building. And, we spent probably close to $250,000 on that building just like now. And so this is matching funds is what Heartland's going to do for this building?
For the interior, yeah, the HVAC, as you know, will have a 2-year manufacturers, well, 1-year manufacturers,
Yeah.
2-year labor. So we're hoping with just, general maintenance on it, that those units will be good long through this term of this agreement. And again, units needed to be replaced anyways, so I'm glad that we had the opportunity to replace them. But
And excuse me, Eric, Chris may be able to comment on this better, because I know in typical lease agreements that I have been in, the leasee, the person, who's taking that lease is responsible on the inside, which Heartland is. And the building itself is usually by the owner of that building. But Chris has more experience on that legal end and may be able to comment on that.
Yeah, I think that's generally correct.
So we would have had to do those repairs to the roof and that, regardless of whether they rented or didn't rent. And so that was just an investment we needed to make because ultimately we own that property.
Just to finish that line of thought, my other hat I wear for Use Authority President is that's a historic building. We had no choice on the exterior, and we have no choice now on the exterior of maintaining it. That's a DNR, it's a state thing, so we're obligated to the outside regardless.
And I'm going by memory, wasn't some of the remodeling funds from Arts for Lawrence grant that she received? It's like the flooring and some of that?
it was,
Yeah.
it was through the grants, and some of the outside work was through the grant program also.
Isn't Arts for Lawrence, it's a not-for-profit as well, right?
Yes, it is.
And-
One other thing I want to add, because Jeff just mentioned historic, the sign will have Heartland film on the sign outside, but it will maintain, and the sign does read, the historic Starrett Center, so it is keeping its name.
Lauren, anybody have any other questions or concerns?
No, I think you guys have definitely answered everything. I think this is great. One thing I would just make note is, I think that this would have been great to know earlier, probably not in the budget meeting, but I think that other than that, just because it is a great thing for the city, because walking into that meeting, I just saw the signs personally, and I was like, oh, that's something new, had no idea. So I think just maybe invite you guys to come to the meetings, and because I would love to hear what's more going on in the Parks Department, because I think you guys are doing a really good job in promoting the city, so.
Second Wednesday every month for the last 25 years. That's as long as I've been on the board. Been on the second Wednesday, and Sean Denny knows that all someone has to do is pick up their telephone, and if you want to chit-chat about anything, and this is a great opportunity that we have, but been on the board for so long now, it's not a unique agreement. What's our use agreement with OYO?
It's a 10-year agreement.
That's out there at Veterans Park, and we've had longer-term use agreements with our youth leagues. Not all of them very popular or smart, aka the old Cathedral Field out there, but we can talk about that another day. But these are not unique agreements that this department has entered into, and this is by no means no disrespect. When we enter in 10, how long has FC Pride been with us in the past?
They've been here since '83, but it's.
Those are agreements, and I agree when you see the sign that, oh my, what are we doing here? We have at least 2 other entities that are engaged with the city in long-term agreements, and as part of their agreements is to pour back into that facility, AK Heartland, improvements. It could be everything from a concession stand to what FC Pride does there in the back. And the folks it benefits, last weekend, I come up here, you got the wedding going on, you've got 5 baseball fields in the back. Yes, they're parking on the grass. You have the last giant soccer tournament of the season, running 100+ teams through. Go over, and I'm complimenting this department, and Tom Burns is happy too. We have LTFL football up and going the way it was 10 years ago when Gene and Tim Burns were running it. They're running 800 vehicles at least a weekend over there. And to me, this just adds another part of organized chaos. I mean that in a good way.
Absolutely. I wasn't saying it in a negative. I was just more meaning, I think just, it would be nice to hear more from you guys. You guys are doing a good job and just.
Chairman wishes to set a quarterly or biannually meeting, and we'll.
Or just when something big comes up, just like, just I think it's, you guys should get credit for doing a good thing for the city. I just think it's nice to just keep everybody on the same page, just because then, I think it would have been a different meeting had we had some people, we had notice beforehand, or not notice beforehand, but like, you guys got this, that's great. You should, we should be, that's awesome, good job, like.
Celebrate together.
Yeah,
We get to do
exactly.
99% of what I get to do, and my 2 hats I wear are fun stuff, period. It really is. I get to do fun stuff. And this is part of the fun stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is a big win for the city of Lawrence to bring in, like Corey was saying, that this is a recognized organization that is moving from downtown or Mass Ave to here to be part of what you would think is Marion County's cultural center, to Lawrence, the new cultural center of Marion County. And you're really bringing some great attributes to our city through that.
Thank you. I know I mentioned, and so we will be looking to apply to be a cultural district in the state now, once Heartland is settled and the library is done. So we have that happening. So watch for news to come, because hopefully with the state will accept us and award us that. But we definitely believe that once Heartland is settled in and the library is there, we have really positioned ourselves well to get some additional recognition that way.
Awesome.
I have couple other questions, if I may. I was looking at the lease agreement, and it said in the lease agreement that they won't alter the building, past its historical significance. I guess it would be Eric. You would be the one that makes that determination, and the big room.
It does say that if they're to make any improvements beyond, onto the walls, attach anything, they actually have to come to the Parks Board and amend the agreement as an addendum to the agreement. Right now, they're just going to use cubicles, so they're not doing anything. It's going to be just open space throughout the building.
So they'll be putting like cubicles, like in the big room.
In the office ends, on both ends of the.
So then, what will the big room be used for?
I'll let Corey
The
explain
big
that.
room is going to be turned into a screening room, so that when they have events happening, they'll be able to use the theater at the fort and have a second screening room. So they will be installing shades that are room darkening that will otherwise be up, but then when down. They are relooking at the equipment that was purchased through the AFL grant that was done with the Lilly Endowment, and looking at how they can upgrade that, because it's not quite at the level they need for the quality of filming, and they want when people come here to be a good experience. So they're working actually in conjunction with Arts for Lawrence and seeing how they can get that to the next level, so that we can really make sure that it is the place to come and see films.
Well, anybody else have any other concerns? Chris, are you okay? And,
Yes, sir, I agree. I think it's a good fit. I would politely push back a little bit in the comment about just come to our meetings. We have a part-time council, and they all have regular jobs inside the home and outside the home, and there's no possible way for them to know everything that's going on. And since they write the checks, I would recommend anybody to keep them informed. I think that's a respectful and responsible thing to do, and I appreciate everybody's time. Certainly a great win for everyone.
And anybody else have anything?
So real quick, go out and see the cultural campus, or the
Civic Plaza.
the progress of the last 10 days. We have a bi-weekly meeting. Holy cow.
Is the windmill in?
Not yet.
Oh, well,
That,
I know.
it's now scheduled to be here in Indy on the 27th around there of October. They will not be putting in the Fort Bend seating and words that go around it until the tree is in, because they want to make sure that they don't damage that while installing that. So tentatively, we have a ribbon cutting set for November 1st, but we will know more on October 12th at our next construction meeting when we know the status of the wind tree.
Well, if I might add, like Councilor Russell said, you know, this thing was a total shock to us as, you know, the last council meeting. I'm sure this has been in the works for some time. My understanding in speaking with one of the city employees that the Sterrett building hasn't actually been for lease most of this year. So, like I said, I don't know how far back this was an idea in somebody's head, but I would just like to remind the administration, the park department, everybody within the government that, you know, we do represent people in our district. And, you know, if we don't know what's going on, excuse me, we can't pass it along. So, you know, it would greatly be appreciated in the future that we not find out after something's already been done, such as, you know, the remodels of the Sterrett building. If they come in, they come to your board, I would appreciate a call, Jeff, if you just, you know, keep me abreast of what's going on. I agree, we should attend more of your meetings, but there's there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of meetings. It isn't just you guys, and there's a lot of meetings. So, I mean, we could be at a meeting just about, well, a lot. But, so anyhow, if nobody has anything else, we're going to call it done. And I appreciate everybody coming and cluing us in on what's going on. Or you had anything else?
I just wanted to say thank you, and I certainly hope when you give your report at the next council meeting that you share what a wonderful, that you all, you know, are in support and what a wonderful opportunity this is for the city.
Yeah, we'll do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're adjourned.